All right. So, for example 1, so on Friday we were talking about arithmetic sequences, and we were asked to find the 8th term or the 10th term or maybe even the 15th term. But what if you're asked to find the 100th term? That would take a while, right? Yes.
Basically replace like the added values with the 100.
Okay.
Or
So, what if you were given the first 4 terms, like 3, 7, 11, 15, and then you were asked, okay, can you get the 100th term? Little bit more work, right? So we're going to talk about how to do that, okay, instead of just adding every time. So first, let's find what's the difference between these guys. Between 3 to 7, what are we doing? Adding 4. 7 to 11, adding 4. 11 to 15, adding 4. So just make sure your pattern's the same. For some reason it's different, then it's clearly not an arithmetic sequence. Okay? Then what we need to do is figure out, okay, so between term 1 and term 100, how many terms occur? Not exactly 100. You want to go 100 minus 1. You've got 99 terms. And each time we're going up by 4. So we're not actually adding 4. Here, you would say 99 times 4, and then you would add the 3, which is the first term that you even started with. So to get the 100th term, take your calculator, multiply 99 times 4, and then add 3. The 100th term is going to be 399. Okay? If you did it term by term and you added 4 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 and you kept doing it until you got to term 100, it would take you a really long time. Yes?
what did you subtract 1 from 100 again?
Because from the first term to the 100th term, there's 99 terms.
Okay.
Okay? So what if there was a formula that could get you there a little bit faster? So we do have a formula. It looks like this, just that first line there. T sub n equals T sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d, where T sub n is the number of the term they want you to find. So in the example number 1, they wanted us to find the 100th term. Okay? T sub 1 is the value of the first term, which is 3. D is the common difference. That's how much we added or subtracted. So on that one, we added 4. And then n is the term place, which was 100. So we're going to try example 2 using this formula. Put up just enough so you can still see the formula. And we're going to take this sequence of numbers. We've got 5, 8, 11, 14. And we're going to plug it in and see if we can come up with a formula that would help us to find any term. Maybe it's the 50th term, maybe it's the 100th term, maybe it's the millionth term. So it could be any term number, but we need to figure out what's going to plug in. Okay, first, let's find the difference. So from 5 to 8, adding 3, right? 8 to 11. And 11 to 14, adding 3. So our D, in this case, is going to be 3. And then we're going to plug in some things into this formula. So T sub n. N is just going to be whatever number of term they want us to find. It could be T sub 100, T sub 500, T sub 1,000. Okay? It's going to be equal to the first term. In this case, the first term is what? 5. Plus the number or the term place, so we'll just put an n there for now, minus 1. Times, in this case, we found that D was 3. Okay? So that's our, thank you, sir. Oh, that's pretty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got our equation. Now we're just going to simplify a little bit. So if you can simplify at this point, simplify. If you can't simplify, don't simplify. But in this case, I can distribute backwards here. So we're going to have T sub n equals 5 plus 3n minus 3. And then I have a 5 and a 3 that are like terms. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So I'm just going to rewrite it as T sub n equals 2 plus 3n. Or you could say 3n plus 2. Either way, it would work, right? I'm going to move this up. You'll see it in just a second. There it is. Still copying it down. All right, so example number 3 gets a little bit trickier. In this case, they're going to give you the second term is 4, and the fifth term is 22. So we need to find the 23rd term. Okay? So you can fill in those spots and leave a bunch of blanks, or you can use the given information and use it to help you find what's going on. Okay, so first, I'm going to recommend that you find D. In order to find D, you're going to need to take the value of T sub 5, which is 22, subtract the value of T sub 2, which is 4, and that's going to give you 18. Then you need to take 5 minus 2, so the fifth term minus the second term, which is what they gave us. That means 3 terms happen in between there. And then you need to take those two numbers and divide. So 18 divided by 3 is going to get you 6. So in this case, the difference is going to be 6. That means from T sub 2 to T sub 5, you're going to be adding 6 each time. So if you're struggling with that or you don't understand what just happened, let's say you had term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5, and they gave us term 2 was 4, term 5 was 22, and we now know that the difference is 6. So each time we can add 6. So 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. 16 plus 6 is 22. And to get that first term way back here, we subtract 6. So 4 minus 6 would be negative 2. Okay? So you can actually figure it out either way. You can do this little shortcut that I showed you, or you can write out each term and figure out which one each would be, okay? Then, for part B, you're going to use the formula to get the 23rd term. Remember, that's what they asked us for back up here. They want us to get the 23rd term. So T term 23 is going to be equal to And we're using that formula you wrote down at the beginning, the first term, which is -2, plus the term that we're on, which is 23 minus 1, times d, which is the difference we already calculated was 6. Now we just need to simplify it. So I'm running out of room here. So we're going to go t sub 23 equals -2 plus 22 times 6. And order of operations says you have to do what first? Add or multiply? So multiply that in your calculator. Subtract 2. You should get the 23rd term to be 130. Calculate that in your calculator. As long as you do it in the right order, that's what you're going to get. Anybody still copying that down? Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the arithmetic means. So here's the definition. The arithmetic means, oops, let me move it up. Okay. Arithmetic means to take the average. So when you do it with just two numbers, you add them together and divide by 2, right? But if you're doing it with sequences, you're going to take the terms between the two given terms of an arithmetic sequence. And you're going to all right, so here's example number 4. And I'm going to do the same problem in 2 different ways. So on the left, I'm going to show you what's called the traditional way. So if you want to find the arithmetic means between 10 and 22, you're going to take 10 plus 22 and divide by 2. So 10 plus 22 is 32. Divide by 2, you should get 16. That means the number that's exactly halfway in the middle right here is going to be 16. Now we just need this number and this number. So to get this number, we're going to add 10 and 16. Then divide by 2. So 10 plus 16 is 26. Divide that by 2, and we get 13. So that number is 13. Then we just need this number right here. So now we're going to take 16 and 22, add them together, and divide those by 2. So 16 plus 22 is 38. Divide them by 2, and we get 19. Right? So that's the traditional way. That's one way that works, and you can get it. Even if you had different amounts of numbers in between, you can just keep finding averages until you've got it all filled in. Another way to do it is what we're going to do called find the D. Find the difference. Okay? So the way to do it is to say, okay, this was term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5 that we were given. And we're going to do just how we found D in example number 3. So you take the 22 and the 10, so 22 minus 10, and divide it by the terms, term 5 minus term 1. So 5 minus 1. 22 minus 10 is 12. 5 minus 1 is 4. That means we have a difference of 3. That's our D equals 3. And it might be just as easy to do it this way and say, okay, 10 plus 3 is 13, 13 plus 3 is 16, 16 plus 3 is 19, and 19 plus 3 is 22. Which way is better? I don't know, whichever one works better for you.